بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his biography. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wa sharafa wa qarrama wa baraka wa azam wa sahabati wa tabi'in wa tabi'in بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعلينا معهم في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما يسمى الله أما بعد. In this fourth episode of the Seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we now come across the early years of the Prophet ﷺ as he is born. So we will look at his early years until the age of 4. And in this session we will be looking at the wet nurses of the Prophet ﷺ, those who breastfed him, as it was among the custom of the Quraysh that they would give the children to those who would breastfeed them. And as well, this will lead on to that major incident that took place in this time, which was at the age of 4, where the Prophet ﷺ's chest was split open. To begin with, we look at the nursery of the Prophet ﷺ, his early years, and this was in the nursery of Ayman. So Ayman was that slave who was given to Abdullah, the Prophet ﷺ's father, by Abdul Muttalib, who had received her from Abraha. Now, Abraha was the enemy from Yemen who had built a church that no one would come to, so he grew envious and jealous because everyone would go to the Kaaba, would do pilgrimage to the Kaaba. So he set on a expedition to destroy the Kaaba, and that comes in Surah Al-Fil, where the elephant army of Abraha was destroyed by the birds that had small pebbles, and they destroyed the elephant army of Abraha. But there was an encounter where Abraha and Abdul Muttalib, who was then the leader of the Quraysh, they met up, and on meeting up, on discussions, Abraha had seized the camels, and Abdul Muttalib came just for the camels, and this surprised Abraha, who was already in awe of the Prophet's grandfather, because he had that standing, that stature. Even though he was sitting on the floor and Abraha was on the throne, he would come down and sit with Abdul Muttalib on the floor. And he's saying, you come for your camels, and I'm here to destroy your Kaaba. He said, the camels are I own, and I want them back. But the Kaaba is Allah's, and Allah will sort that out. So Abraha gave Abdul Muttalib that slave girl, Ayman, who then, as I've mentioned, was given to Abdullah, then given to who was then in the service of Amina and the Prophet ﷺ. The first wet nurse of the Prophet ﷺ, well, the first one who breastfed the Prophet ﷺ was, of course, his mother, Amina, after which was Thuwaybah, and then Haleemah bint Sa'adiyah. So first with Thuwaybah, she was the slave of Abu Lahab, who received the good news of the Prophet ﷺ being born, and therefore he was so ecstatic, so happy, that he freed Thuwaybah. He made her a free woman. And then Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, saw his brother, Abu Lahab and Abbas were brothers, saw his brother later on, many years later, because now Abu Lahab had already died, and he died on kufr, so therefore he was going to be forever in the fire. So he saw him in a dream in a fire, and Abbas asks Abu Lahab, so what has become of you? And Abu Lahab says, you can see, because he saw him in the fire, you can see. But on a Mondays, that day the Prophet was born, on a Mondays I do get respite, I get a jug of water, and that was due to him being ecstatic and so happy for the Prophet ﷺ. And this is now someone who's a non-Muslim benefiting from the Prophet ﷺ, as he was a rahmah for the whole mankind. So imagine us believers, if we were to be happy with the Prophet ﷺ, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would deal with us. So this was for Abu Lahab. He got the respite on that Monday, and the bringer of that glad tidings was Thuwaybah, the Prophet's Prophet's first, well, after the mother, the first wet nurse. And now moving on to the second and the last wet nurse of the Prophet ﷺ, who was Haleemah. And Haleemah's story begins in Hunain. And Hunain is a place I'll mention later on as we get to the Battle of Hunain. But Hunain was a far place from Makkah, and the Bani Sa'd tribe lived there, and they would come on their normal seasonal periods to pick up the children of the Quraysh, the noble from the Quraysh, to take their children to breastfeed them and take them back to Hunain, as this was the custom among the Quraysh at that time as well. And she was from that tribe who had set off, and on this occasion she was very ill, and her donkey, she was on a donkey, it was very weak and tired, and she had gone with Abu Kabsha, her other half, to hopefully get a child to take back and earn an income, because they had set out for this expedition to earn an income, the whole group. So there was already those who had preceded Haleemah, because her donkey was slow and she was also not well. So they preceded, and in preceding her, they were to get the first options of who to take to breastfeed, and they would always be looking for that who had whose father was alive. So that's why, therefore, they overlooked the Prophet ﷺ, who was offered to many of these people from the Bani Sa'd. They all overlooked the Prophet ﷺ, and this is where we understand that sometimes Allah delays us, makes us late to advance us. So don't always be hasty, and always thank Allah if Allah makes you late, or if Allah does not make you late. In all times, Alhamdulillah. So Haleemah finally reached, and the last one remaining was the Prophet ﷺ. Again, refused by the others because his father was not alive, so therefore how would they get the extra money if the father was happy and he just felt like giving them extra? They would not get that, so therefore they did not want the Prophet ﷺ. So it was left to Haleemah, and even herself, she wasn't sure should she take the Prophet ﷺ. But then Abu Kabsha was like, we've come all this way and we're gonna return back with nothing, so come on, let's take this chance. So this is now then Haleemah picks up the Prophet ﷺ, that blessed baby, and when she picks him up, she was already hungry, she was already not in a weak state, but as soon as she picked up the Prophet ﷺ and put it next to her chest swelled with milk, and he drank to his fill on the right side, and he was offered the left. But this is where, even in that infancy, in that time period of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was a newborn baby, he refused the left to give to his brother, and brother was obviously through this was Haleemah's son, so they were brothers through now Haleemah being that kind of like mother through wet nursing. So he had left that left breast for his brother, and this is now where they knew that Abu Kabsha remarked that we have received a blessed wind, that they knew that something was different, and they knew that this was not like any other child, any other creation, even from such a young age, and this is something we know as well just by hearing this. So if Haleemah came in the first gear on the donkey, she returned definitely in the sixth gear, or whatever the highest gear speed is, and they were going fast and traveling fast, all instantly because of that blessedness of the Prophet ﷺ, as even a baby, and even the others would remark, Haleemah, what is driving your donkey? And this is all now because of the Prophet ﷺ. So they returned back to Hunain with the Prophet ﷺ, and this is where he grew up from the ages of the early years till the age of 4, and blessings would come after time, because they would when they received the Prophet ﷺ, that was the first night they'd all sleep peacefully, full as well, and the animals of Haleemah and Abu Kabsha, they would be grazing in a place where everything will be just there for them to it would just be full of full of grass, full of whatever they need to graze on. They would come back fat, so that even the others who theirs weren't doing well and they were skinny, they would send their animals behind Haleemah's herd, and because of the blessedness of the Prophet ﷺ, and they benefit in that way. So the udders of the animals, they would be full as well, and there would be such blessings coming just because of the Prophet ﷺ. And then we come to that great incident that happened at the age of 4, where two men, now this was Jibreel and Mikael alayhim salam, the angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent for a specific purpose, and this purpose was to seek the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to open his chest and take out his heart. So they came, they found the Prophet, they laid him down, and then split open his chest and took out his heart. And on this point, the brother was with the Prophet ﷺ, as they had both gone to graze the animals on the sheep on this occasion. And when he saw this, he ran back to Haleemah. My Qurayshi brother has died. The Qurayshi brother has died. That's what he was remarking back, because he saw the heart taken out of the Prophet ﷺ. But Jibreel and Mikael were sent by Allah to take out this heart and then to remove this black clot on it that we all have, because shaitan has a share on us through that. And this is why, like, he speaks and he tries to deceive us. This is that kind of medium that he can have an effect on us through that. But the Prophet ﷺ wasn't going to be definitely not led astray and deceived by shaitan. So this is the black dot that had to be removed, but not because of the Prophet not to be deceived by the shaitan, because shaitan, Iblis, the one who was banished, exiled from Jannah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the story of Adam alayhi salam, he's already been banished from the mercy of Allah, and exiled. He needed to be exiled and banished from the mercy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, because we've seen that even Abu Lahab benefited from the mercy, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a mercy to the whole of the universe, to everything living, not living. He benefited everybody and everything. So this was shaitan's share in the Prophet's mercy and had to be removed. So this is why the splitting of the chest had to be done. And so and once they did that, they washed it in pure water, put it back, turned the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam over, and where his heart is on the other side of the back, this is where then they sealed that seal of the prophethood, as the Prophet ﷺ was going to be the last of the prophets, the seal of the prophets, and they sealed him. And on this, due to all of this, the Prophet ﷺ's color had changed anyway. But just to point that which makes us all be annihilated, all destroyed, a heart being out, is for the Prophet ﷺ a means of honor. See how it is for the Prophet ﷺ compared to the rest of us. He is a man, but not like any other man. If someone has not read the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, then they do not know the Prophet ﷺ. And if someone doesn't realize that the Prophet ﷺ is not like any other man, then and he's like a common man. If they claim that he's like a common man, then they've not read the Prophet ﷺ's Seerah, his biography. So this happened, this occurred, and then Haleemah came, and she was shocked. And another thing is that Haleemah got so fond of the Prophet ﷺ, and she would never have returned the Prophet ﷺ, and who would? So this incident, like you can see a secondary benefit or a tertiary benefit, was that on this now, due to this, she was really frightened, and next thing she did was return the Prophet ﷺ to Aminah. And on returning the Prophet ﷺ to Aminah and explaining all that happened, she spoke to the Prophet, and the Prophet was just saying, yes, the two men came, they take out the heart, and I was looking at my heart, it was so fun, it's like something that destroys all of us, but for the Prophet ﷺ, it just ennobled him even further. So Haleemah, she was shocked, and she took him back, and she was fearful for him, and she relayed that to Aminah, but Aminah said that, his mother, that, oh, do not fear, because this child of mine, he has something special. There's something special to come from him. When I gave birth, that light I was mentioning, that was on Abdullah's forehead. When they had conceived the Prophet ﷺ, then the Prophet ﷺ was going to be, well, after he was conceived, that light had gone to Amina, because now the Prophet ﷺ was in Amina. And she said that on my pregnancy, when he delivered him, that light came out and it left, and it then shone like was shining in the world. And this, she knew that the Prophet ﷺ was going to have a special share in world, in existence, and she said not to be fearful. So this is where we end, where now the Prophet ﷺ is at that age of 4, and his chest had just been split open, and this is the first occasion that it happened. It has occurred on 3 other occasions, so 4 in total, but this we will see as we go along the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. But this is to show that he is not like any other person. He is one of the most beloved, and he is that special person. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.